3 weeks before our wedding, my fiancée slept with her ex at her bachelorette trip, tried to trap me with a fake pregnancy, and launched a smear campaign to paint me as the villain. But one paternity test exposed her lies, destroyed her reputation, and left her begging while I walked away free. I'm 34, and up until the year before last, I thought I had everything in order. I was engaged to Claire, 27. We had been living together for 2 of our nearly 4 years together. Things felt steady, or at least that's what I told myself. We had a summer wedding booked, deposits paid, families involved, invitations already sent out. Claire flew out with her bridesmaids for a bachelorette trip to Miami 3 weeks before the wedding. It was supposed to be the happiest time of my life. Sincerely, I was not thrilled. Miami is not exactly synonymous with a quiet girl's weekend. Knowing that her ex-boyfriend Kyle was still in some way connected to her friend group made things even worse. Although he was not on the official trip, there were rumors that he had been invited to an after-party. I calmly brought it up and inquired as to why he was still in the picture, much less anywhere near her bachelorette party. Claire rolled her eyes, called me insecure, and told me it was just girls having fun. She turned it around and claimed that I was attempting to control her. I let it go despite every gut feeling I had. I told myself that I trusted her and that this was just the stress of the wedding making me suspicious. While she was gone, things felt off right away. I received a drunken "I love you" text the first night, around 1 a.m. The kind that looks good on the surface but doesn't sit well when you realize it will be followed by 2 days of silence. There were no random updates about what they were doing, no good morning texts and no calls. Simply nothing. I tried not to push when she finally returned, but something was different. She kept her phone in her hand at all times and was distant, barely making eye contact. Every explanation was short. I'm worn out. A lot of it. I need to get some more sleep. I attributed it to exhaustion from the trip. Still, there was a knot in my chest I couldn't shake. Then came the moment that changed everything. A week later, Claire had some of her bridesmaids over. I heard her maid of honor laughing while I was in the kitchen getting a drink. Raucous, carefree laughter. After that, I heard the words that stopped me in my tracks. I still can't believe you actually hooked up with Kyle on your bachelorette. You're crazy. The sound of that sentence hit me like a train. I didn't move at first, just stood there gripping the counter. Part of me hoped I misheard, but then I heard Claire's voice, urgent and panicked. Keep quiet. Say that elsewhere. Silence replaced the laughter as it ended. I entered the living area. Before I even spoke, the shifting of the energy told me everything. The entire room fell silent. The bridesmaid appeared to have witnessed a ghost. Claire's face went pale. She was unable to even look at me. Is that true? I asked directly and bluntly. She opened her mouth, closed it, then finally muttered, "It's not what you think." I did not yell or throw anything. I just stood there and waited while her own secret made her crumble. That's when I realized the wedding wasn't going to happen. Claire broke down almost immediately when I directly inquired as to whether or not it was true. She thought that if she cried hard enough, her actions would vanish, so the tears came quickly. She kept repeating, "I was drunk. It was an error. It had no significance." Her maid of honor sat frozen on the couch, realizing she had just let the truth slip. No one said another word. It was just Claire sobbing and trying to pull at my sleeve like that would make me stay. "Please don't cancel the wedding," she kept saying. "It only lasted 1 night. This is the first time I've done anything like this." She wanted me to believe it was a slip, a lapse in judgment. However, it did not matter to me whether it was just 1 night or 10. She crossed a line you don't come back from. I told her I needed time to think, but deep down I already knew the wedding was off. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just went quiet. And that scared her more than if I'd exploded. We barely spoke the next few days. I began calling venues and vendors, gradually undoing the plans we had worked so hard on for months. It gave the impression of ripping apart a life before it even began. Claire, meanwhile, acted like she could still fix it. Little apologies slipped into casual conversation, her trying to hold my hand, suggesting counseling, but the distance between us had already set in. Then came the curveball. She sat me down with such dramatic seriousness approximately 3 weeks later. She said, "I'm pregnant." And I braced myself, but nothing could have prepared me for that. I couldn't even process it for a second. Insisting that it had to be mine, she rushed to break the silence. Although my gut told me otherwise, she reminded me that we had been together a week prior to Miami, almost as if she had rehearsed the timeline. I did not immediately accuse her. I recently stated that I would support her if a paternity test revealed it. That was all. There was no yelling, no blaming, just a condition. Everything was said by her reaction. She snapped. She referred to me as icy, heartless, and even cruel. She fled violently. The smear campaign then began within hours. Her mother first called me, her voice full of resentment. How could you even question it? A real man steps up for his fiancée, an unborn child. After that, her friends joined in and posted snide remarks on social media. Some men can't handle responsibility, for instance. And it's amusing how, when things get tough, people show their true colors. And Claire, she invested completely. Even if I have to do this alone, my baby will always know they were loved. She wrote in the captions to the ultrasound pictures she shared on Instagram. To everyone watching, I was suddenly the villain who abandoned his pregnant fiancée. I received messages from people alleging that I had fled. Meanwhile, I was just sitting with the quiet knowledge that this child might not even be mine. She used sympathy to her advantage, portraying herself as a betrayed, abandoned mother. What her followers didn't see was the reality. The one person she didn't want to face was me, because I wasn't going to blindly accept her story. She wasn't just trying to save the relationship. I realized at that point. She was trying to trap me. The campaign of defamation did not slow down. If anything, it escalated. Some men talk about love but run the second it requires effort, was one of Claire's friends' vague online posts clearly aimed at me without naming me. Or, real partners don't walk away when things get tough. I didn't say anything. I didn't even defend myself. Any belief can be held by anyone. The truth will always come to light. Meanwhile, Claire stepped up her game. She plastered ultrasound photos everywhere, writing long captions about how strong she was, how she would raise this child with or without anyone's help. Her followers ate it up. Numerous comments arrived. "Mama, you have this, and he doesn't deserve your love." However, the reality was quite different from the quotes about resilience and Instagram filters. Kyle, the ex she hooked up with in Miami, was already pulling away. He had a girlfriend who found out what happened that night, and from what I later learned, she gave him an ultimatum. "Or else you'll lose her." Kay selected her. That meant Claire was suddenly on her own, and I was the safe, stable option she tried to corner into fatherhood. I knew what needed to be done. I demanded a prenatal paternity test through my attorney. There was no test, no involvement, and it wasn't a deal. She initially refused, yelling that I was abandoning my child and threatening legal action. But her threats didn't work. Eventually, she agreed, probably convinced she could manipulate her way through it. The day the results came back, I already knew what they'd say. Nevertheless, seeing it in black and white carried its own weight. 0% chance of paternity, it was definitive. There is no ambiguity. No, maybe the child wasn't mine. Holding that piece of paper was both devastating and freeing. Devastating because it confirmed the betrayal in the most concrete way possible. It was liberating because I had the evidence and could no longer be called a liar. I didn't hide it from anyone. I shared the results with her family because at that point they deserved to know the truth, too. As soon as those results were announced, Claire's carefully constructed facade began to fall apart. The family's reaction when I showed them the results was immediate. Her dad didn't scream. He just sat there quietly staring at the paper, then at her. In the end, he instructed her to pack her belongings and leave my apartment. He had suspected something was off, but hadn't wanted to believe it. It was now unquestionable. Her mother, on the other hand, broke down in tears. She had been one of Claire's loudest defenders, calling me heartless for even suggesting a test. Seeing proof that her daughter had lied not just to me, but to everyone was too much. She wept and kept asking Claire, "How could you do this? Why would you? Regarding her friends, the ones who had been online attacking me suddenly stopped talking. There was no apology or explanation, just silence. They disappeared the moment they realized the story they'd been defending wasn't true. But Claire wasn't ready to face the facts. She yelled that the test was incorrect, demanded a second try, and insisted that a mistake had to have occurred. She begged and pleaded, but when that failed, she became enraged. She accused me of trying to ruin her life, but it wasn't me who had done that. I received an unexpected message shortly thereafter from Kyle's girlfriend. She sent me screenshots of Claire blowing up Kyle's phone, begging him to step up and be a man. The messages were desperate, full of panic. His responses were distant and conclusive. Stop contacting me. It was an error. Don't drag me into this. I realized just how far Claire had fallen as I read those words. She did not want anything to do with the man on whom she staked our entire relationship. He was too busy patching things up with his girlfriend to even acknowledge her. Meanwhile, Claire's perfect little story, the one she'd been pushing on social media, was cracking. People began to whisper. Friends of friends questioned me about the actual event. I didn't have to exaggerate. I just revealed the truth to them. The rest was done by the paper with 0% written on it. She couldn't hide her face at that point. However, the actual collapse was still a ways off. Once the truth about the paternity test spread, Claire's life unraveled quickly. The narrative she had built online. In the face of hard evidence, the abandoned single mother, an innocent victim of a cold-hearted fiancé, was unable to survive. People who had cheered her on started asking uncomfortable questions. It didn't take long before someone uncovered the GoFundMe she had set up quietly, titled, "Help a Single Mom to Be Start Fresh." Donations had trickled in from friends, distant relatives, and even some of her social media followers. But when word spread that the baby wasn't mine and that she had lied about me abandoning her, the same people who donated started demanding refunds. Some even posted publicly calling her a scammer. Her Instagram, once full of supportive comments, turned hostile. She had been pursuing sponsorship deals, but they suddenly vanished overnight. Instead of sympathy, her posts about strength and resilience were flooded with sarcastic remarks. She had built the stage herself, so it was brutal. The wedding had officially ended in the interim. Guests who had booked flights and hotels for what was supposed to be our big day wanted answers. Some reached out to me directly and I told them the truth. Claire's family had to face their own humiliation. Her father was livid about the money wasted. Her mother was ashamed and even her bridesmaids started distancing themselves. Once Claire tried to blame them for exposing her secret. The maid of honor, the one who had made the initial error, severed all ties. I moved out of the apartment first since it had been under my name, and I wasn't about to share a roof with her any longer. Claire went back to living with her parents. The house that once felt like a place where we were building a future now just felt like a reminder of what I'd narrowly escaped. 1 year later, things are completely different. I got promoted, bought a condo of my own, and started dating again. This time with someone who values honesty above everything else. In a good way, it feels different. Steady, calm, no games. Regarding Claire, I was informed that she had given birth, but Kyle never intervened. She continues to reside at her parents' house. Every now and then, I stumble across one of her social media posts, usually a vague quote about betrayal, resilience, or how some people will regret losing you. But the likes and comments that once flooded in are gone. She was defended by people who have since moved on. Looking back, I can honestly say she did me a favor. If I hadn't overheard that slip-up from her friend, I might have gone through with the wedding, tied myself legally and financially to her, and ended up raising another man's child without ever knowing the truth. Instead, I got out clean. I didn't get the future I thought I wanted, but I got something better. Freedom, clarity, and a chance to build a life with someone who won't betray me the moment temptation shows up. Claire got the opposite, the results of her own decisions. And while part of me still feels sorry for the child caught in the middle, I can't feel sorry for her. She made her bed. Sometimes the truth really does set you free. I am grateful that you stuck around to the end. Make sure to subscribe and check back for more content.